He called her a gold digger. 15 minutes later, he was sitting in silence, face flushed, ego shattered, trying to figure out how he had just humiliated himself at 35,000 feet. Nathan Kessler knew how to own a room, especially a first-class cabin. The smell of expensive leather, the soft clinks of champagne glasses, the smug nods between wealthy passengers. This was his world. Deals, dinners, dominance. He belonged here, and he made sure everyone else knew it. Seat 3A, window, scotch, neat. Tie loosened just enough to say, "I work hard, but I enjoy the perks." He didn't plan on working this flight from Dallas to Tampa. No, this was downtime. First-class people watching. That's when he noticed her. Blonde, slim, composed, sitting 2 rows ahead, flipping through an iPad like she had nothing to prove and nowhere to be. She didn't smile. She didn't scan the cabin for attention. She didn't even look up when the flight attendant poured her wine. Nathan smirked. He leaned toward the man next to him, a quiet, polite type clearly regretting his seat assignment. "Ever notice how some people think money buys class?" Nathan said, just loud enough for those nearby to hear. No real response, but Nathan didn't need one. "She looks familiar," he added, squinting. "Probably a reality show reject. One of those women who marry rich and spend the rest of their lives pretending they earned it." The words floated. She didn't flinch, didn't turn her head, didn't even blink. That annoyed him. People like her were supposed to react to men like him. And that's exactly why he couldn't stop. The plane began to taxi. The hum of engines rose as flight attendants made their final checks. Nathan leaned back in his seat, stretched his legs out like he owned the floor beneath them, and sipped his second scotch. He glanced at her again. Still no reaction. She handed her glass to the flight attendant with a polite smile, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and went right back to reading. She looked untouchable, and that bugged the hell out of him. He turned again to his seatmate, tapping the armrest. "You ever meet someone who walks around like they're the main character in a movie? Like the rest of us are just here to applaud their fabulous life?" The man gave a tight smile and turned a page in his magazine. Nathan wasn't done. "She's probably someone's ex-wife. Senator, maybe. Living off alimony and attention. I guarantee you third marriage. At least." This time, even the flight attendant gave him a sideways glance. A businessman across the aisle cleared his throat and shifted uncomfortably, but Nathan didn't see it, or didn't care. He leaned forward a little more. "She must be on Instagram, right? Oh my God, flying is so exhausting. First-class problems. I guarantee you she's going to complain about manspreading and post some passive-aggressive story about it later." That's when he heard it. "Excuse me, sir?" Nathan turned, expecting the flight attendant again. But it wasn't her. It was her. The blonde woman had finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were calm, unreadable, her voice steady. She didn't raise her tone, didn't insult him. She didn't need to. She just looked at him, like she'd seen 1,000 men exactly like him and didn't have the time to deal with even one more. Then she smiled, barely, and turned back to her screen. That smile? It was surgical. It cut deeper than anything she could have said. Nathan sat back, suddenly unsure. His drink didn't taste the same. His seat felt smaller. And then it hit him. She knew. Whatever smugness he had been riding at the start of this flight began to drain. He couldn't help himself. He tried again. "Pam, right?" he asked, voice lighter. "You don't look like a Pam." No response. "I mean, no offense. You just look more like a Kelly or a Lauren. Pam sounds like someone's mom." Nothing. And then came the final blow. The flight attendant passed again, stopped at her row and asked, "Ms. Leavitt, would you like another glass of wine?" Nathan froze. Leavitt. Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary, former congressional candidate, political stormbringer, known for taking zero crap from anyone. And he'd just spent the last 30 minutes monologuing about plastic surgery and gold diggers, within earshot of one of the most visible women in American politics. He swallowed hard. His tie suddenly felt too tight. And for the first time in a very long time, Nathan Kessler had no idea what to say. The name echoed in his mind like a siren. Karoline Leavitt. Not an actress, not a senator's ex, not a reality TV reject. She was the Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in U.S. history, a political firebrand known for dismantling opponents in front of national cameras without ever raising her voice. And he just called her a gold digger. Nathan's face flushed a deep, painful red. He glanced around the cabin. Everyone had heard. The businessman across the aisle was now openly smirking. The younger guy with the laptop shook his head in disbelief. Even the flight attendant kept her eyes carefully neutral, like someone who had seen a car crash but wasn't about to offer a comment. He tried to salvage it. Anything. I thought you looked familiar, he said, his voice strained with a forced chuckle. Didn't realize I was in the presence of royalty. Karoline didn't respond. She didn't turn. She didn't acknowledge him at all. She just kept reading. And that was worse than any clapback he could have imagined. She hadn't chosen to destroy him. She'd chosen indifference. The kind that says, "You're not even worth a moment of my energy." Nathan shifted in his seat, reaching for his drink, only to realize it was gone. The ice had melted. The scotch had gone warm. His confidence had vanished with it. The flight attendant came by again. "Another drink, sir?" He opened his mouth, then stopped. "Just water." She nodded and moved on. Nathan sat back, the silence around him suddenly deafening. For once, no one laughed at his commentary. No one indulged his arrogance. The flight had turned into a classroom, and he was the one getting schooled. And Karoline? She didn't say a word. That was the real power. She didn't need to argue. She didn't need to clap back, because when you know who you are, and the whole room does too, silence can be louder than any insult. Nathan turned to the window, watching the clouds slide past. Somewhere over Georgia now. Still more than an hour left in the flight. More than an hour to sit with himself. With the version of him she had just exposed. The version everyone else on this flight had seen too clearly. And in that moment, Nathan Kessler, deal closer, boardroom big shot, professional talker, finally shut up. He sat with the silence. Sat with the lesson. That respect isn't earned by the size of your wallet. It's earned by knowing when to speak and knowing when to listen. Because sometimes the most powerful person in the room doesn't say a word. The name echoed in his mind like a siren. Karoline Leavitt. Not an actress, not a senator's ex, not a reality TV reject. She was the Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in U.S. history, a political firebrand known for dismantling opponents in front of national cameras without ever raising her voice. And he just called her a gold digger. Nathan's face flushed a deep, painful red. He glanced around the cabin. Everyone had heard. The businessman across the aisle was